Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Krystle, just in case you are new here, and today I have a current reads / end of the year TBR video for you guys. So I figured I'd put this video into one since it's been like really hard for me to film anything lately. I've been just wanting to read more than film things, but I have to get better with vlogging for sure because I have so much to talk about the books that I've been reading and the current books that I want to be reading. So let's just jump into kind of my wrap up of what I read in the past couple months. So I haven't read as much as I would have liked to, or that I normally would from a year ago, but I did read some good books in the last couple months. And we're gonna start it off. So I want to start off with a small little mass paperback book, Cozy Mystery, and that is In the Company of Witches by Orly Wallace. I really enjoyed this. It kind of awoken my sense for reading cozy mysteries because I just don't normally gravitate towards them. I just always felt like they don't have much substance, and I always love getting lost in a world, but this book changed that for me. I really loved being in this world. I really loved learning about the witches, and it was just such a cozy fall read. I highly recommend it. Even continue like reading it through the winter season. It just has that cozy feel, and I can't wait to pick up more cozy mysteries. I know that there is another book in this series. I think it's When the Crows Sing or something like that. When the Crows something, I don't know, When the Crow's Away, that's what it's called. Wow, okay, it just came to me. So I'm gonna pick that up in the winter as well because it just gives you all the cozy feels that you want when you're reading a mystery book. And I've been staying away from more of like the horror thriller books because it just hasn't been what I've been wanting to read. So this was a nice palate cleanser of a book, and I highly suggest this series. Also, this author is very good at writing for a cozy mystery. Sometimes, from what I remember in the past of picking up cozy mysteries, the writing was very like basic. I don't know, like nothing that really would like want you to keep reading more. I don't know, it was just very like eh. But this author writes really well, and I was very much entranced with the story that she portrayed, so highly recommend. And then a book that I read is a YA, and that is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was an amazing book. It had such witchy, gothic vibes to it. I enjoyed the romance. It just had like all the things I was looking for in a cozy fall young adult fantasy book. And I believe that there's a second book coming out in this like series. I didn't know this was going to be a series. I really did think it was a standalone from the beginning, but it is a series, so I can't wait for the next one to come out. I think it comes out in August, so I may have to reread this before then. I just really enjoyed this book, and I can't wait to read more from this author because I think for a young adult author, her stories don't read so young, so I really enjoyed this because sometimes young adult just doesn't resonate with me, but this book made me want to pick up more young adult fantasy because it just doesn't have that like adult romance that can kind of get a little too spicy for me, for my eyes. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this a lot, and I can't wait to read the second one. The next book that I read that kind of took over my life that I loved, and I'm actually in the middle of the second book in the series, is Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. I loved this book. Now, I have seen so many mixed opinions about this book and this series, but I loved it. I really ate up the story. I was so entranced by the world, by the folklore of the world of vampires and how it all works. And I just felt like I was reading just like a history of vampires. It was just so good. And I love Lestat so much. I also have been watching the TV show, which I think just wrapped up recently, but it's a great portrayal of the story. It's a little bit more modernized, but I loved this book. Oh, I just loved it. So I am reading the second one slowly because I have other books that I'm currently reading, which I'll get to in a little bit. But I loved it, and I can't wait to read more from Anne Rice. I did try to read The Witching Hour by Anne Rice, and I just felt it was very like slow, and there was a lot of like incest going on, and I know that was a very popular thing like back in the 80s, 90s to write about. Like V.C. Andrews wrote a lot about that, but I don't know. I have to pick it back up because I may have not read it like at the right time, but now that I'm really feeling her work and I love her writing, I need to pick up everything that she's written. The next is a cozy romance, and that is Small Town Big Magic, and this is by Hazel Beck. I really enjoyed this. Like the first half of it I really enjoyed. I was like, yeah, we're getting into like magic system. It had like that practical magic vibe that I was looking for, mixed with like a Gilmore Girls feel, because our main character, she just does what she wants and she is stuck in her own ways. But I just kind of fell off with the romance a little bit. I just felt like it was very forced. I didn't feel the chemistry between the two characters, our main character and the love interest. I just didn't feel it. But I really did enjoy how this was portrayed. Our main character, I forgot her name, Emerson. She was just living in a small town, living her life, like whatever, and not knowing, but the people around her all had magic. They're all witches, and for some reason she has no memory of her ever being a witch, so she doesn't really know what's going on, but like weird things are happening, and then all of a sudden her powers just like come back. So there's that, her learning about the magic system, the world, why she lost her memory, things like that, and I loved that plot part of the book. But then the love interest part, I just felt like it didn't go with the story, but I really did love the magic system and all of that fun stuff. This is written by two authors, and I'm almost wondering that may be why I felt like the story just didn't piece together very well. Sometimes when you read stories that are written by multiple authors, you don't have that feeling of like knowing that there's two authors writing at the same time, like merging the story. But for some reason this one just, like I felt the feel of two authors writing a story, and it just didn't blend very good. So, but I enjoyed it. I still gave it 4 stars because I ate this up. I read it in like 2 nights, so it was very good. Next book that I did read was Lark by Alex Astor. I really enjoyed this. I know a lot of people said that they felt like it's too reminiscent of ACOTAR, but I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was a fun YA fantasy book, just what I needed. I felt like this was a palate cleanser. I'm looking forward to reading more from Alex Astor. I thought this was a pretty awesome like first debut novel from this author, and I could see she pulled things from all of her favorite young adult fantasy books, but that didn't bother me. I really enjoyed it. It was fun, and I can't wait to read more. Next book that I read was Slew Foot by Brahm, which took me like 2 years to read. I feel I had this on my September TBR last year, and then I DNF'd it, and then I said to myself, I need to finish this book. I see it everywhere. Everyone says that they love it, so I needed to pick it up and see what I thought, and I forced myself to read it. I enjoyed it. I did. I really did, especially more towards the end. I felt that the build-up to what happened at the end took forever, and I was getting a little bored of like all the Puritan stuff and like the church stuff and the town. Like I really do enjoy that stuff because I do love the history of like witchcraft and Salem and Pendle and all of those stories of the witch trials. I do enjoy that era, especially reading nonfiction about it, but I felt that this was just too drawn out, and I felt that the characters were kind of like, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm the only person that feels that way. So let me know if you felt that way while reading this, because I did enjoy the subject matter, but I just didn't love the execution of the story, and I felt like it could have been done better. I really enjoyed the illustrations in here. I thought that was cool. That added a great like flow and like atmosphere to the story. It helped kind of move things along a little bit quicker. But like I said, I just felt a little too drawn out with the church stuff and the townspeople, and I was just kind of getting bored. I just wanted to get to the good stuff, you know? So, I think I gave this like a 4-star, 3.5 star, something like that. But yeah, it was kind of just, I don't want to say middle of the road because I gave it like a 4-star, but it was all right. Like not a 5-star. Like I wasn't wowed by it at all. The next I have here, Babel by R.F. Kuang, which I am still in the middle of reading, but I found spoilers by accident and I know how it ends, so now I'm just like, do I want to keep reading this? But I'm enjoying what I've read so far, and I'm most likely going to finish this book. I just kind of got disappointed when I found the spoilers, which all you naughty people on TikTok and YouTube need to like warn about spoilers for new released books. I mean, it's not fair to the authors either for you to talk about spoilers on the internet. Like, keep the spoilers to yourselves. Like, if you want to talk about them with your friends and private messages, things like that. But when it gets out into the internet, it's just not fair to readers that, you know, just don't want to be spoiled for the ending of the books that they purchased that are like $30. You know what I mean? So I was a little upset that I came across that with no warning. And yeah, so I'm going to continue reading it because I do love R.F. Kuang's writing, and I would love to read more work from her. That is my plan, hopefully by the end of the year, but we shall see. I think if I read any other books, I don't think I have. I kind of put everything away that I read, so oh well. If I did read any others, I will let you know in the comment section if I find them. But next up is the reads that I do want to read before the end of the year, or at least get to, which is a nice big stack. Oh, I found a book that I read. It just came to me because I have the rest of the series in the stack here. But Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. I finally am into the Throne of Glass series. I'm so excited. The first book and Assassin's Blade were good. And I just, like Assassin's Blade, I think I may reread again later on. But Throne of Glass was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this series. Like, I feel like it's young and all this stuff. But knowing that Sarah J. Maas wrote it when she was 17 and then progressed in writing after, now it makes sense. Especially after finishing Crown of Midnight. The plot twist at the end of this book threw me for a loop, and I like fumbled to read the third book. I'm in the middle of Heir now, and I'm just eating it up. I'm so obsessed with this series. I'm mad at myself for not picking it up sooner. I'm not happy with myself for that, but I'm happy that I'm reading it now. It's just what I needed. Oh, love it so much. So 5 stars for Crown of Midnight. Need I say more? Pick up this series if you haven't already, especially if you're a Sarah J. Maas fan, which I am like a huge fan of her. I love her. I want to be her. I wish I could be as successful as her one day in my writing, but amazing. Amazing. So good. And I know a lot of people don't like the second book, but it really opened it up to where it's gonna go. And with the first book, you kind of were just getting the fantasy feels, assassin, things like that. But once Crown of Midnight got more into, I don't want to give it away because I was surprised. I don't know how I avoided spoilers for that for so long. I think because I was just so conscious of not ruining it for myself. But it just opened it up, and it's so good. It's so good. So that's gonna lead me to these next 2 books, Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows. I have about 100 pages left of Heir of Fire, and Queen of Shadows is next up on the docket. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read anything else for the rest of the year because I'm so obsessed with this series, and I just my goal is to finish it before the end of the year. And these books are huge and they just get bigger as time goes on, but oh, I'm just obsessed. I love this series. Pick it up, please. Everybody who loves ACOTAR, pick up the series because I'm starting to see the correlation between worlds. I'm starting to see how everything is kind of joined together, because she does do that with her book, Sarah J. Maas. She does write in the same type of world. Oh, so good. And it just makes me want to reread ACOTAR after this, and then Crescent City and House of Earth and Blood. It's just all going to be happening, and I have a feeling like the rest of my year and the beginning of 2023 is just going to be Sarah J. Maas filled, because I'm obsessed. Nothing reads like her writing to me, and it's just what I need right now. It's getting me back into reading. It's getting me out of my slump, and I'm getting excited about books again, which is so good. So then the next, I have more fantasy, because I'm just obsessed with fantasy right now. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I would really love to start this series at some point before the end of the year so I can continue to read the series. I love her writing. I am very intrigued by her education and who she is as a person as well. I think she is probably one of the smartest people in the world. And I just want to read all her books. I love the writing in Babel. I obviously need to finish that, but I heard the Poppy War series is just so good, and it's heart-wrenching and it's gory and it's tough to read sometimes, but it sounds like something that I'm gonna really enjoy. And the fact that the books aren't like super thick fantasy quality books, I think I could read them rather quickly, or at least know that I can you know, read them quicker than normal fantasy, where I will probably finish the series within a couple months. So looking forward to this. And then next up I have The Vampire Lestat by Anne Rice. I would love to finish this before the end of the year. I'm on page 188 of this. Haven't picked it up since I picked up Heir. So I don't know if I'm gonna finish this before the end of the year, but I would really like to, because there's like so many books in this vampire series, and I just need to read them all, because Anne Rice is an author I always knew of, I always respected. I just knew that everyone loved her books, but I just was too intimidated to pick them up, and I finally got a taste of Interview with the Vampire, and chef's kiss, mwah, so good. So this is just as good, and I'm enjoying reading about Lestat and his point of view, and I think it's interesting how she writes from the point of view of the vampires. So yeah, this is Lestat writing his story, his origin of how he came to be one of the most powerful vampires in history, and what he's doing now. So it's really cool. I love it. I have here another fantasy series, and that is Daughter of No Worlds, and this is by Carissa Broadbent. This is an independently published fantasy novel that I heard is similar to Throne of Glass, but with more adult content, and I know so many people love this series, and it's just kind of trending right now. So I did buy the hardback copy, because look at this butterfly on the cover. I mean, it was worth every penny. It is quite expensive for a hardback, but it was worth it, and I'm probably going to get the second one in hardback as well, if I love it. But I heard great things about this book, and it is free on Kindle Unlimited if you're looking to read it as well. But I'm not sure if this is about fae or what, but it is like a fantasy romance, high fantasy romance story, and yeah, it sounds really fun, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful cover, beautiful. Then next I have a reread, actually, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, because Hellbent is coming out, I believe, in January, and I need to reread this. This will probably be my second reread of Ninth House, but I just love this book so much, and it has just all the dark academia feels. It takes place in Yale, which is like my dream university to ever go to, which is not happening in this lifetime. And yeah, so I'm going to pick this up again and kind of get familiar back into the world, get ready for Hellbent, and I can't wait for it. I just cannot wait. I'm ecstatic for it. I have like a palate cleanser of a book possibly to read if I need a break from all the fantasy that I'm reading, and that is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and this is by Sangu Mandana. I've been wanting to read this. This was on my fall TBR, but I didn't get to it. But I would really love to pick it up in the winter time. I feel like it would be a nice cozy read, and I've heard nothing but great things about from the people that have read it recently. It sounds like a really good book, and a cozy one at that, and it's about witches. Yeah, so this is on my on the docket for hopefully before the end of the year. The next, I have another big book, which I don't know who I think I am with all these big books, and that is Stephen King's Fairy Tale. I started this, but I felt like it was just too much fantasy for the fall, like when I was reading spooky books and things like that. So I put it down and I said I'm going to dedicate probably maybe my December to reading this book. So I am so excited to finish this. What I've read so far, I really loved. There is a dog in here, and everyone knows how I feel about my dog. So I can't wait to pick this up and see what everyone's talking about. I heard that this is one of the best books that he's ever written. People on like the Losers Club podcast don't agree with that, but from a lot of readers of Stephen King, I've heard that they really love this book. So I can't wait to finish it myself, and I'm just excited that Stephen King keeps putting books out every year. Does anyone else feel that way? I think he is just such a master of storytelling, and he's not just a horror writer. He does write a lot of horror, but the way he writes is just beautiful, and he can write fantasy. So this is his like only, I guess, like standalone fantasy type book that he's put out. Well, I would say like the Institute, well, the Institute's like sci-fi kind of, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Next I have the Cloisters, which is an interesting title to a book, I have to say. I mean, there couldn't have been a better title to choose for this. I don't really know. But this is by Katie Hayes, and this is a new release. This is a like dark academia taking place in New York City in a museum. And it's about like tarot cards and how they like affected history. So it sounds really interesting. It's quite short, so I don't know how in-depth of a story it's going to be. But because it's about tarot cards and I read tarot, I just felt like I needed to pick this up. I thought that it was interesting. Similar to like how Babel and the history of translation and magic with that, how that affected history. I thought this was an interesting subject matter with like tarot and how that affects history and the study and all of that. So I heard good things. It's like a gothic story. I don't know, like for some reason I felt like there was like time travel in here, but I think I may be wrong. I think I may be wrong about that, but looking forward to getting to this. Hopefully I get to it soon. I mean, it's quite short, so it'll be a great like easy book to read before the end of the year to get a little bit more caught up with my reading challenge, since I am so far behind on my reading challenge this year. Reasonably so, but still I'm like anxious about it because I hate not meeting goals. But hopefully I'll get to this. Then lastly I have here, which I do have other books that I'd like to read, but I don't want to discuss them here yet because they're kind of like my moody reads. So you'll find out at my end of the year wrap up if what else I got to before the end of the year. But I would really love to start, I'm not saying finish because this is a 1,000-page book, The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. This has been on my TBR for, I don't know, 10 years now. I mean, I don't really know. I own the mass market copy. I owned this copy, unhauled it because I never got to it, and then I just repurchased it because I said, I am reading this. This just keeps resurfacing. Everybody talks about this series on how amazing it is. I have plenty of time to read the series because he's nowhere near done writing the series. So I just need to pick it up. I need to pick it up again because I did read a few chapters in the past, but I don't remember anything. So I'm going to pick it up again, and hopefully I'm like mature enough for this series now. I felt like maybe I didn't reach my mature reader status in the fantasy genre at the time of picking it up back in the day. So I'm looking forward to picking this up again. And hopefully I can get through it in 2023, but I don't see myself finishing it before this year ends, but maybe next year. We'll see. So that is it. That's all I have for this current reads wrap up slash what I want to read before the end of the year video. I would love to know if you've read any of these books. Just don't leave any spoilers in the comments, please. And let me know if you too are reading the Throne of Glass series for the first time. I would love to know that I'm not alone. I really love it so much and I can't wait to finish it. But also I have so many other books behind me and there and behind this camera that I need to get to, so I can't just dedicate all my time to Sarah J. Maas's books, but that's all I want to do. But at the same time, I have all of these other books that I'd like to read. So yeah, that's that. It feels good to film. I finally got some time. It's been a little bit slower at work, so I'm having a little bit more free time to myself, which is nice. And yeah, so I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be in this space. I'm trying to build it up again and start filming more. I am going to be vlogging more, like I say in every video, and I just haven't done it, but I'm trying to do that for you guys. But my life just isn't that interesting. I wake up, I go to work, I come home, I cook dinner, I clean up, and then I go to bed. That's pretty much it. And then I find like an hour or two in between to read somewhere. So I'll try to film a little bit of something for you guys for vlogging. I think it's just easier than sitting down to film. So on that note, that is all I have for you guys today. And if you like this video, if you want to see more videos from me, please just like and subscribe down below. Get me back into that algorithm. I just haven't posted in a while, so my videos just aren't being seen, and I would love for them to be seen. So please leave a purple heart emoji in the comment section down below. And if I don't speak to you guys again, I hope you all have a lovely Thanksgiving in the US and a very happy holiday season as well. If I don't sit down to film before the end of the year, if things get busy. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and I will be talking to all of you guys soon. Bye.